Alright, we're looking at this film, The Substance. 88 Finished and Porous just did a video on it. Okay? Go watch this video, extremely good. That's a don't have to, but I would recommend probably watching this before listening to what I've got to say. Nothing really that interesting. It's just surrounding the numbers with this character here, with Demi Moore. Okay, and some of the connections with her. Okay, so this is the bog standard idea of the the fall of man, the Matrix, the eclipse. It's all the same ideas. 9/11, and my feelings on it is there's probably in this film some references to the Hoover Dam as well, but I haven't seen the film, so I will have to wait probably to see it. There's several references to Kubrick in here, just a little bit that we see that 88 shows. There's kind of a Stargate sequence, if I get on that. Oh dear, oh dear. Why can't we just... You know what I mean? I can't just get on the bloody... There we go. Oh, well, okay. No, just playing just a second of it. Now there we go. See, through the Stargate. And you can see the kind of... You know what I mean? All the lights there. So we've got the 2001 reference there, and then there's some Shining stuff in here. What was that? Shining stuff at the end. There were several other people that noticed this in the comments. She's in the bathroom. She's the old hag, naked in the bathroom. There's also this scene where they're walking up a corridor. Of course, I'm not going to be able to get on it, but and the carpet there is slightly reminiscent of, it just gives you the idea of the carpet in The Shining. And there's several other bits and bobs. There's some, I guess, at the end there, Finished and Porous points out the theme from 2001. Okay, yada yada yada. Very good video to watch, and I'm sure the film is absolutely plumb loaded. Notice what she uses for the injection is the to reach this sort of altered state is the green. Okay. Anyway, numbers surrounding this, right, and people surrounding this whole thing, right. First thing to do, let's go to the actual film. Well, actually, we could look at the dates surrounding this. May the 19th. Okay, we find people. Super duper important date. There we've got the 20th of September. Remember I was talking about the 20th of September with Madonna. That was her palindromic number date, which is well interesting. And also, let's just talk about Madonna with this date as well, rather the numerology of this date though, which is the 116, which is in the dartboard. And it forms that cross with 20 at the top, 3 at the bottom, and then we've got 11 on one side and 6 on the other. So all important numbers. Okay, start with Demi. Okay, 11/11. We know, if you watch the channel, you know at the Hoover Dam there are 2 inlet towers on each side of the Hoover Dam. Within the dam there. They form the number, or one way of looking at it is it forms the number 11/11. Okay, I think that if the dam does fall, I think the 11/11 will be left standing. Yeah. I can just imagine it now. Just a huge chunk of it missing. I still think there'll be a little bit of water left in there if it happened. just enough to maintain a small amount of water to go to Vegas. But I can see the top of the thing coming off, basically the crown of the the crown of the dam coming off, and allowing an awful lot of water to flow over the top of it, and then just leaving a smaller amount of water left in the actual Lake Mead. A few years ago, they lowered the inlet to it. Basically, they dropped the Deadpool zone of Lake Mead, or of the dam. I don't know, whichever way you look at that. So they can draw water from a lower level. So that's kind of interesting, that there's almost like, it feels like there's almost a preparation for it, But anyway, getting sidetracked talking about the Hoover Dam. 11:11. In fact, there was a little spot in that within 88 Finiston Force's video where I think she's coming out of a building. It's a very sort of curved concrete building. Anytime I see that, it reminds me of the idea of the Hoover Dam, the curved concrete. But anyway, the 11:11. Why that's important? Obviously, it's at the Hoover Dam there, but when we do the dollar bill fold, where we bring the big O and the shield type thing together, where the little owl sits in the middle. What is interesting about that? Okay, what is interesting about that fold, with the little owl sitting there at the top of it, is it forms the number 1011. There's a cross-reference with pi in there, with the word pi. Pi day is normally, 1011 is normally the 314th day of the year. This year it's pushed back to the 9th of November. Okay, so the 314th day this year is going to be a 9/11 reference, which is well interesting as well. To sort of tie those two dates together, 9/11 and 10/11, okay, and then on to 11/11 in the midnight hour. So she's the old hag. Note, married to Bruce Willis. Okay, note that Bruce Willis, obviously, John McClane, obviously the Die Hard thing is just, he is absolutely bloody loaded with stuff. Absolutely loaded. The birthday, March the 19th. Why is that important? March the 19th on this old dollar bill here. Note, this says 1 here, but this also is like 613 backwards. So if you flip this, what you get, I've got it in here, is you get 319. 319 is the equinox date. Okay, is it an equinox date? So obviously it ties in with the other side of the year, which is usually around about, I just say the 23rd of September, give or take a day, and this is obviously give or take a day. But what is interesting, I think this year it was on the 23rd, and I think this year spring equinox was on the 19th, if I'm remembering correctly. Also, so we have his birthday here, the 31st of September. Also, the Hoover Dam created on the 30th of September. Okay, so what we have here is, there's some nice number play here. Okay, because if we were to go to, if September had 31 days, which it doesn't, okay, so we can't go to the 31st. What we would actually be going to is this date here, 10/1, sorry. Yeah, 10/01. So we would actually be going to the 1st of October with this date, which again is well interesting, with the idea of what I'm going to say, It's the idea of the one going into the dam, into the hole here. Okay, and you've got to come back out of the hole that's between the two legs. Okay, on 101. By the way, 101 is Hoover Dam, Gematria. Obviously, it's got that tie-in with Vegas with the shooting, and obviously the connection with Paddock. Okay, Stephen Paddock. Was that his name, Stephen Paddock? But the idea of the paddock is it's pre to the big race. Okay, they they walk the horses around the paddock first before the big race. So a precursor to the big event maybe. The 101 Harvest shooting. Anyway, Bruce Willis's birthday on this dollar bill. Okay, so again, that's interesting because of all the tie back with the dollar bill. But note that on this dollar bill, there is, I call this, it kind of looks a bit like a bear, but originally, I've called this the owl. Okay, and then this is the serpent up here. And when you flip this around, of course, you'll have the owl at the top, and you'll have 319. Okay, which is again Bruce Willis's birthday, and that owl. Remember, the owl is the thing that's between the 1011 fold on the dollar bill, and obviously Demi Moore being 1111. The following day, the midnight hour of it's just the way it all ties together. Okay, I just thought it was interesting. Okay, so this reference to that owl, flip the owl or bring the owl over. Okay, and we have this reference to 319, and we have the reference back to we have the reference back to 1011 and 1111. Okay. Again, what's interesting as well is that oh no, I want to get on down that. Sorry, I was messing up myself here. What is interesting about this is, so we have Bruce Willis, and if we jump back to here, we can see now that after Bruce Willis, she steals, I say steals a younger man. She takes a younger man, and the younger man, for want of a better term, falls for the old whore. Okay, so this is the kind of I don't know, the idea of being trapped by the Matrix. It's kind of an odd story. It was kind of one of those odd stories. Listening, Ashton Kutcher's, married Demi Moore. It was just weird. Anyway, nothing really major to report except I think February the 7th, if I recall. I want to say that's 329 days left in the year, maybe in a normal year, which would tie back in with the equinox on the opposite side of the year to Bruce Willis's birthday. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go through some of the stuff with him, because basically what he ends up doing is he gets done with the old hag and then returns back to the younger version of the Matrix. Okay, Mila. I don't know. Anyway, so this is his. He was in that 70s show with this old girl, right? Notice the date of her birthday, 8/14, which is the start. If you recall the Pluto decode that I did with Lucas numbers and all the Pluto numbers that are in there, including the connection with 9/11. Okay, 8/14 is the start date for that whole thing. So this is well interesting that he's kind of returned to the earlier the first version of the Matrix, right? because in the actual film itself, what we see now, I don't know which one I'm on. Hang on a minute, back it up. See if this goes back to the film. In the actual film itself, the younger version of the Matrix is played by this character, Margaret Qualley. Qualley. I don't know how that's that. But anyway, what is interesting about this is note the numerology here with the October 23rd birthday, which is again 123, and note the age 29 this year, which is kind of interesting with the whole idea of balance. But 123 is a start over number, 123. It's the beginning. Okay, so it's like returning to the beginning again. Okay, and this is what's happening in the film. The substance is, I'm guessing, I haven't seen the film, but I'm guessing Demi Moore's character is trying to return back to the beginning, is trying to be beautiful again. Okay, but of course balance can't be respected, and it deteriorates into a complete mess. Okay, anyway, what is interesting about this, so we've got the idea of returning back to the beginning again, a reset, a restart. Okay, she is the daughter of Andy McDowell. Wow, okay, well this is kind of interesting with the connections to the Kubrick stuff in the film, and I know it's spelled a different way, but Malcolm McDowell, that is in a whole bunch of I'd say a whole bunch of in a whole bunch of stuff that Finiston Porus just did a video on. Anyway, so this is kind of interesting because she also has, well, actually what's most interesting about it, she has the 421 birthday. Okay, so she's on the Queen's birthday, which is the twin date for 9/11. Okay, probably the reason why this character was picked. And she's actually been in a film with Demi Moore, actually, by the look of it right here, St. Elmo's Fire. Okay, so that's probably pretty interesting. It kind of reminds me of Back to the Future with the Elmos next to the Assembly of Christ, or whatever the hell it is there, the theatre that Marty crashes into. Anyway, another interesting thing about this character is the husband with the 331. Okay, so we have this connection back to, again, the idea of the eclipse with Christ's resurrection at Easter. So this is Easter this year. Okay, so 331, this is incredibly interesting that she has this connection to that for this year as well. So, it's just, the rabbit hole just goes on this one. Anyway, let's back up. Dennis Quaid, was there anything really interesting about Dennis Quaid? 9449 birthday. Again, if you watch my channel regularly, you will know that at the center of the Queen's Cross chart, okay, is the 4849. That's what's interesting about the eclipse this year being on 48. This tie-in, not only with the numbers of Pluto, because 48 is heavily in the numbers of Pluto. Okay. What is also interesting is obviously the eclipse this year, 4/8, and the whole idea of death and resurrection is that thing of the eclipse. If you think about what 9/11 references, if you've got the sun is the one tower, the physical, and then the moon is the other tower, the metaphysical. And what happens is, when you have the solar eclipse, both those things die. Okay, essentially. Note that when the moon goes in front of the sun, there is no light coming off the moon. Yeah, it's not white anymore. It's already dead. It's black. Okay, and in fact, as those two things come together, what you end up with is blackness, darkness, death. Okay, so the idea of the towers being demolished is the eclipse. Okay, I know I'm pointing out basic stuff that most people know already. Again, it's just for people that may, stumble on this stuff and they don't really fully comprehend the symbolism. Okay, but there's no light coming off the moon. It's not the pure white pearl anymore. It becomes the black pearl as it goes across the sun, as they both consume each other. Okay. And this is what happens. This is going into the matrix. Okay. So this is why the eclipse stuff is so important for this year. And obviously 49 ties into that. Now, in the dollar bill, there is some number jumps, and the 49 again. If you bring those two sides together, right? Get this right. So if you bring the two sides of the dollar bill together, so you have the big circle on the one side, and then that torso shape shield on the other side. Now, if you look at it like the torso shaped shield has now become the what would you call it? Is the body, okay? Because it's a torso shaped thing, okay? It's the physical, even though I think it'd probably be on the wrong side, but anyway, it's the physical coming over to the metaphysical, the big O, okay? Those two things amalgamating, and if you make that fold go further than them just sitting together perfectly, okay, if you push the fold further together, you end up with DI, die, okay, because that's essentially what happens when you go further than you're supposed to. You die, okay. No doubt, Kennedy is talking about dye in the food at the minute, okay. Food colouring and the idea of the dye. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, getting sidetracked. If you push those two things together, you end up with the D and the I, like Lady Di, like Diana, but DI is 49, okay? 49, die. Also, though, one of the other number jumps in the dollar bill is from 55, from Cinco de Mayo, 122 days through, takes you to the 4th of September, which is, in some years, it's Labor Day, okay? I want to say last year it was Labor Day, this year it was the 2nd, and that jumps around because obviously it's the first Monday in September, okay? But some years it is 4/9, and the idea of Labor Day is the idea of giving birth and being reborn, okay? So very interesting number anyway, 9/4, and again, probably why it's in this film, simply based on that. But most of these actors do have significant dates for their birthdays and that, but that would be one that would definitely tie in with the eclipse and with the idea of rebirth. Okay. What else did I want to mention about the film? I don't know if there was anything I want to really mention about the film, but this idea of let's go back to Ashton Kutcher, right? What did I get to with talking about him and so Demi Moore, right? But in his early years, right, this is what's crazy, right? Let's go down a bit. Personal life. Ashley Ellerin. He was dating in 2001. Ashley Ellerin, who was murdered by the serial killer chap. Just a mental story, really. And then Then next he's dating Brittany Murphy, who's in a film with, just married. Just married. That is the two. That's the sun and the moon coming together for the first kiss. Just married. She is a November the 10th birthday. Just talking about this with the dollar bill. The November the 10th birthday, and she dies. Just, I don't want to say anymore. The connections. Okay, and then he's with Demi Moore. Look, when they file for divorce on 12/21. Mirror dates. A mirror date, sorry. Palindromic day. Again, important with that 123 is that not only is it a start date, and it's a restart date because it's also the 10th Lucas number. Hopefully I'm getting that right. And what's fascinating about that is if you total up to that point all the numbers in Lucas numbers up to the 10th Lucas number, so the 10th Lucas number is 123, and you total everything up, it's 321. So again, it's the idea of a beginning and end, start over, basically. And so this is, again, I don't want to say, but apart from, then he's off with, oh yeah, that was the other thing. From the birth of the Hoover Dam through to 9/11, not this year, but last year, was 32123, 32,123 days. So that palindromic number connects the Hoover Dam and the 30th of September 1935 through to 9/11 2023. Okay, so very interesting anyway with palindromic stuff. Anyway, ends up with this character. Okay, and we've already talked about her with her 8/14 birthday. What is interesting though, if we go to the actual show, this character on the show, on that 70s show, let's just go back to that 70s show a second to show you something. The main character here, Christopher Grace. Yeah, Christ and Grace, very interesting. The numbers again tied to 9/11. We've got the 712, the Twin Towers, and the Tower 7 that nobody seems to be aware that fell down. Notice his name in it. Eric for the man. Eric Foreman. Okay. Eric. the erection for man. Okay. So, kind of interesting there. And then we come down to this character. Okay. Who is played by, Stephen Hyde, who is played by, I don't know why, maybe they've took him off here. Danny Masterson, the master of the sun. And there's this weird story about Scientology, him being in the Church of Scientology, and then raping some women, and so forth and so on. Just a weird story. And you'll notice that his birthday has the same numerology as Easter. Okay, you just read that number backwards. Basically, you could say 313. Okay, so this dude who is now in prison for rape, and look at the metaphor there as what mankind does is he essentially rapes the metaphysical. We essentially go into that thing, into the divine side of reality, into the divine spiritual, we basically generate stuff and have ideas and invent things that are just not in balance or can be abused. Okay, and this is what we end up doing. We end up abusing our power and dominating the metaphysical, with this sort of ego-driven, out of control. Again, the idea of the rapist isn't. He's driven by an out of control and unbalanced desire, and so it's an interesting metaphor there. It's a crazy story, I think, by the sounds of it. But again, his brother Christopher, Christopher. So you have one, the Christ, and then the other one paying for the sins, or whatever, how you want to look at it. And this other guy was in Malcolm in the Middle. Interesting. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't think there's really, don't think there's anything else I want to add to that. But it's just, I mean, overall, the kind of there's just some weird stories around Ashton Kutcher and Debbie Moore. I mean, it's just nuts. Anyway, I think I left a comment on 88's video, and I think I put something like the Demi God always wants more. Okay, get the wordplay there. I'm going to leave it there. I think that is it. Yes. Okay. Just round in circles with the numbers. Hope you enjoyed that. Now I'll catch you on another one. Catch you on another one soon. All right. Cheers. Bye.